मैं बताती हूँ। तो यहाँ पे बन रहा है खाना, वहाँ पे ककड़ी कटी रखी है जिस पे एक मक्खी ऐसे 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 हो रही है, और वो अंकल पीछे बना रहे हैं रोटियाँ स्टोव में।
So we did a group ride for the Force Gurkha group from NCR this weekend, and the idea of the ride was to get all the Gurkhas together and do a trail and see some basic spots on one side of Gwalior. The spots being Bateshwar, Mitavli, Padavli, and Nareshwar. Now, out of these, Bateshwar was the spot which we chose for lunch. Now, these guys, who are the owners of 7 different Gurkhas, left from Delhi NCR at around 6 in the morning, and they were to get to Bateshwar at around lunchtime. So we were expecting them to be there by 1 or 2 p.m. And so they did. And to have the lunch, we chose the spot to be the parking of Bateshwar. This is the parking of Bateshwar, and this is the arrangement of lunch. As you can see, this is the inside of Bateshwar. Bateshwar is a cluster of temples which you can see over here. They were discovered in around 2005. I think the excavation was started in 2005, and then uh, many magnificent sculptures like this one were placed uh, in the group of temples, which is a major tourist attraction now. Now, as you can see, this is the group arriving, and it was good to see so many Gurkhas in Gwalior. This was the first time I saw another Gurkha in Gwalior. Mine is the only one currently in the town. So, although it's a good thing, but then it's always good to have like-minded people together to do like-minded stuff. I think all the different colors which are available in the market for Gurkha, which were available, are here. This is the lunch setup. It was basic buffet vegetarian food, and this was Frodo, one of the participants of the ride. Now this is monsoon season, so this is in July, and it has been raining in Gwalior and in the area in general for a few days now, and so everything is wet. The mud is deep set, and the roads are all wet. Some patches are broken, and the underpasses etc. are submerged. Uh, the fields overall look very beautiful. So if you are driving through the fields, you will see water all around, as you can see in this particular video. A group of Gurkhas driving through a narrow road. Now, in this particular part, we were heading from Bateshwar to Nareshwar via Mitavli. Now, all this is a rural area. This comes in district Morena. This is not exactly in district Gwalior. This is in district Morena. So, all these attractions are of that district, and the roads are uh, well maintained. And this is that particular underpass which I was referring to when I said things are submerged. So, this was very full of water. You can see how deep that is, and it was a dicey decision to go through with it. But when I saw that some trucks were going through, I also decided that okay, let's try and do it. And as it turns out, all the vehicles were able to successfully and pretty easily pass through it. It was a good water wading exercise which we had, and this was after the underpass. We were going through an area which was low lying, and the road is just ahead. So the road is elevated, and this entire low lying area was flooded. Now you can see that we are on a patchy surface, and this is the start of the trail. This is adjacent to the industrial area of the place, so you can see some sheds in the background. You will see those when we get on top of the hill also. This is the start of the trail. We are just descending from the main track onto the trail exactly. And due to the rains, there is water everywhere, and this is one of the issues which we'll face onwards in the ride. Now, basically, Nareshwar is a place which is a cluster of temples like the one which we showed before, Bateshwar, and that is situated on top of a hill. So, it is nestled basically somewhere near the top of the hill, and therefore, it is very difficult to access. from any side. So if you want to get to Nareshwar, you will have to walk. There is no other way. But since we have 4x4s, we can actually drive to that place. But the trail is quite treacherous. As you can see, the surface of the trail is not really distinguishable from non-trail areas, and there are rocks, there is mud, and there are very uneven surfaces, so you will have to choose your line pretty carefully. There are places which are soft mud like this one, so people had a hard time going through them, and there are step like rocks and people had a hard time climbing on those too. Now the good part here is that it is daytime and it is not raining, so we were able to see the trail clearly, and thus it was easy to navigate. All this will change while we will be coming back. Now you can see we are on top of a hill, and in the background you can see some sheds. That's the industrial area that you can see down there. And fortunately that industrial area has not expanded onto the hill, and that has stayed its place. Now you can see that basically the thing was that as a group I realized that most of the people had little exposure to off-roading into remoter trails. People have been off-roading obviously everywhere. Everyone who has a Gurkha has tried his hand on off-roading, but remote trails are something that I don't think are mostly available in NCR area, and therefore Madhya Pradesh as is presents a lot of opportunity in these trails because we have a lot of unexplored areas. This is one of the trails, and therefore everybody had a very exciting sort of a time. That is what I felt. They had to figure out where to go, which trail to take, which line to take, because there are no preset set of grooves which to follow. So you have to take a call. The easier part was that as a group, I was in front and I had an idea because I have done this trail a few times before. So people had an idea where to go. But when you are alone on such trails, it becomes very difficult, and you have to get down from the vehicle a lot of times just to look at the Google Maps, look at what you are actually seeing on the place to make a judgment as to which trail to follow. This is dashcam video from one of the participants, which was shared on the WhatsApp group. As you can see, this is the easier part of the trail. At this time we are on top of the plateau, and as it is the top, it's a very flattish area, and the trail is quite simple in this part. By this time I think we were around halfway into the trail. Now the hill that you see ahead, that is the hill on which Nareshwar is situated. Although when we got to Nareshwar, it was quite late in the evening because we were getting stuck now and again, and it was also raining, so we decided to not spend much time over there as we were low on time. But I did take some photos, and one of the participants also took some photos, which I'll be sharing later on in the video, so you can see what the place looks like. Also I have video shot in daytime of Nareshwar, in which you can get a proper idea of what that place is like. Now in the video, in the background, you can see how the different surfaces are going on. I have increased the speed of the video so that it is shorter and less boring, but you can see that it is mud, slush, rocks all in one. So it's not like you can just throttle through the mud. It's mud, but also there are rocks which you have to watch out for. So you have to throttle up, slow down, throttle up, slow down. And one of the mistakes which I think some of the participants made was that they were going in a gear which is called 4L, so it is 4 low. That is not the ideal thing for these situations. I personally prefer 4H for most of the situations, because in most of the situations it is better to just throttle through. If you are going very slow, it becomes very difficult for the vehicle of the kind of weight that Gurkha is to really gain momentum and get through most hurdles. So my personal strategy and my personal preference is to throttle through things. And from the time that I have installed the lift kit, as I had explained in the previous video, I have become more open to throttling through things, and that has really made it easier for me to off-road. Now in this particular clip, you can see that one of the participants is stuck in a muddy area. Now in the hill that we were riding through, there were a lot of areas which were low lying. these are the areas through which streams flow in monsoon time. So this is one of the areas. Now here you can see that the vehicle is stuck. You can see how deep the vehicle is by looking at the surface. Fortunately, we all had tow straps. Now this is me trying to pull out that vehicle. First we tried to pull it out from the rear. No success. I tried to pull it out from the rear because the rear tow hook is quite strong, and therefore I mostly prefer that. This is a skid board. Although I don't personally have one and I don't have any experience in the skid in using such a skid board, but I think that it helps, and they used it. In this particular clip, we managed to get it out. You can see as it will happen. Now, one of the things I learned from this experience was that my tow rope is quite short. I think I have a 2 meter tow rope, which is very short. And in the situations which we faced in this particular case, that tow rope was pretty useless. We needed something longer. And therefore, I realized that I should also buy a longer tow rope, which you can see is pretty useful over here. Also, another thing that I learned was that I reinforced my own learning of was that we should really have jerky sort of starts to the tugs, because if we gradually tug, it is very difficult for the vehicle to come out, and therefore the person who is tugging the car has to really give a few light jerks to the vehicle so that it can really pop out of the thing that it is stuck in. Now you can see that the vehicles have arrived at Nareshwar. On the left there is a wall which you can see in some parts of the clip. That wall is basically the boundary which ASI has created for this group of temples. Earlier there was a gate in this wall, and we could get our cars through that gate, but they have recently closed that gate, and they have closed it in such a way that they have made it into the same kind of wall that is making the boundary, and therefore it is very difficult to see where the entrance is. Now this is Nareshwar. What a beautiful place. You can see there is a cluster of temples. You can see that there are stairs, there is a water body, and it is a completely hidden sort of a gem in the middle of nowhere. Somebody who is really coming to see, like the participants who were coming to see Nareshwar, could not have imagined that such a place would exist in the middle of nowhere. Even when I had personally visited this for the first time while training on my motorcycle, I was pretty surprised to see something like this. It was pretty magical. And when you come across something like this, it really makes all the effort that you made to get to this location completely worthwhile. Now you can see that we are heading back and it is getting darker. You can see one more Gurkha which is stuck, and the red Gurkha pulling it out. You can see how he jerks it. Look, that jerk really made it get out of the rut that it was in. Now you can see another streamy low lying area and how the vehicles are getting out. Now you looked at the first Gurkha pass through the stream, and you saw how easily it passed because that throttled through. Now look at this one. As you can see, this particular car had a harder time getting through because the momentum was not there. So the idea is to go fast like this, to go fast through the low-lying slushy area, so that at least you have momentum at your side. This is particularly important for Gurkha because it is a very heavy vehicle, and if it gets stuck, it is very difficult to get it out. And it's almost like only a Gurkha can pull out a Gurkha, because you need something at least of the weight of the Gurkha, which is 2.5 tons, so that it can pull out a car. If you have something like a Thar or a Jimny with you, the chances are that it will be very hard to pull the Gurkha out if it gets stuck. You can see that we are driving in the night. It was very difficult to find the trail in the night. It was completely dark, and there were times when I myself got lost on the road, and like it must have been much harder for the participants as they had no idea of where the trail was and how long the trail was. And I also realized that I should get more lights installed on my Gurkha for trailing at night, which is something I usually avoid, but in this situation it was unavoidable. But I was actually You can see this is the last part of the trail. We are descending the hill. You can see lights of the industrial area and the smaller town attached to it in the background. And that is my Gurkha, which is going ahead. And this is the participant who is just behind me. And in this part, I was actually lost and I was trying to find the trail. So I had no idea where I was going. Just a blank, just a very blurry idea of where the trail would be. Look at that. This is me, and I just found the trail and then descending through that. So that's it. That's for the video. And overall, my expectation out of this video was simply to explain what we did and give a short glimpse into the experience that trailing to Nareshwar was. And it was a very amazing sort of an experience for me personally to have so many people, so many like-minded people with the same model of car that I have, participate in the thing which I have been telling people about for such a long time. There are several trails in Gwalior which are pretty good and which are really worth doing, and people must come and experience that. And this video really goes out to everybody who wants to off-road, that we will be very happy to guide you through these trails. And with that, I leave you with this drone shot of Nareshwar, which I had shot separately on another drive. You can see what a beautiful spot that is, and you can imagine what a beautiful spot that will be during the monsoons. But anyways, any time of the year it is amazing. Even if you come in the winters, it is pretty good because you can really spend a lot of time over here in the winters, in the good weather, and really enjoy the serenity and the bliss that this place really provides.